Hey, fourth grade, happy Wednesday! Since it's Wednesday today, there is a secret emoji in this video. So make sure you're watching the full video so you can tell me what the secret emoji is right up by the date. You can just write it right on that line. All right, you need your thin number corner book and you need to open up to page 48. On page 48, we are working with a couple division story problems. So remember, when we divide, to divide means to break or split into equal parts. It also means to determine how many times one number goes into another number. So when we divide, we are always going to start our equation with the larger number. And that larger number is called the dividend. Repeat after me, dividend. And we're trying to determine how many times the smaller number, which is called the divisor, repeat after me, divisor, goes in to the dividend. The quotient, the answer, is how many times the divisor goes into the dividend equally. Okay? So on page 48, let's take a look at number 1. We're also going to look at a few different division strategies today, and those strategies are very similar to multiplication strategies that we've been using all year. Number 1. In his toy car collection, Leo has 29 green cars, 22 black cars, and 27 red cars. He divides his cars into 6 equal piles. How many cars are in each pile? All right, both of these questions on page 48 are split up into two different answers, two different parts of your answer. A, you're going to make an estimate. Remember, an estimate is like a thoughtful guess. So what are you thinking just by looking at this problem? Before we actually go about and solving it under B, what is your estimate? What is your quick and thoughtful guess? What is this problem asking you to do? So if I was making an estimate for this problem, here's something that you could do. You could notice that each of these numbers could be rounded to a nearest 10. So 29, I know, if we round that to the nearest 10, that's super close to 30. 22, I know, if I rounded to the nearest 10, it would be 20. And 27 rounded to the nearest 10 is 30. Now, when I see 30 plus 20 plus 30, that's a lot easier for me to add up quickly in my head. So 30 plus 30 is 60, plus 20 is 80. All right, so now that we have the total number of cars, about 80 cars, this is just our quick estimate. Now what we need to do is set up our equation. It's asking us to split up 80 into 6 equal piles. All right, I want you to take some time and make a quick, thoughtful guess. What do you think 80 would be split up into 6 equal piles? I'll give us a little head start. Well, if I had 60 split up into 6 equal piles, there would be 10 in each pile. But if I have 80, how would this 10 change? What would be your quick guess? It's going to be a little bit more than 10, right? So it's about 12, let's say. We know it's a little bit more than 10 because we've got 80. Okay? So now for B, we are actually going to solve the problem. Not just making that quick estimate by using rounding. We're actually going to add them up and find the exact total. So we've got 29, 22, and 27. If we add this up, we get 78. Now our problem becomes 78 divided by 6. And we have to find the quotient, or the answer. To find the quotient for 78 divided by 6, we're going to use a division strategy where we build an array. And we've been doing that a ton with multiplication. So let's look at this example, because when we divide and we're building an array, it looks a little different. So this example, 15 divided by 3. The first step is to put the divisor, the number, the smaller number going into the bigger number. That's going to be your first side of the array. So let's go back and let's do that. Our divisor in this problem is 6. 6 is going into the larger number. Okay, we're splitting up 78 into 6 equal parts. So our first side of our array has to have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can draw that on your page too. All right, let's look at the second step. The second step, it says divide the dividend into equal rows. And remember, the dividend is the larger number that we're splitting up, that we're breaking apart. So our dividend is 78. So that's going to be the total number. It's going to be like the area. So we know that this total area is 78. Okay. Now finally, to find the quotient, we have to figure out what the length of the top side of our array is. That will be our answer. So to figure that out, we have to think, well, what times 6 would give us 78? If we go back to our array to figure out what times 6 equals 78, well, I know that if I start with a 10, remember that long line represents a 10, 10 times 6 is going to give us what? 10 times 6 is 60. So if we know this whole thing has to equal 78, and we've got 60 now, we're on a good track. So here's our first part of our array. But 60 isn't 78, so we have to figure out how much we still need. 78, the difference between 78 and 60, gives us 18. So we still need 18 added to our array. I want you to think about what our top side of our array would be here if we know this part needs to equal 18. How many 6's do I need to equal 18? Let's skip count. 6, 12, 18, 3. So the top part here, I'm going to have 3. If we have a 10 and a 3 on this side, we can see that that is 13. So to fill this blank in, 13 times 6 equals 78, which means that 78 divided by 6 is 13. I'll write our answer right there, is 13. So there are 13 cars in each pile. Remember to use cars because that shows what the problem is talking about. All right, number 2. Katina had 108 strawberries to share with her 24 classmates. On the way to school, she dropped 12 berries. If she shares the remaining strawberries with her classmates, how many strawberries will each student get? Remember, A is to make an estimate. I want you to take your time and make a quick estimate and show your thinking. All right, so if she has 108 strawberries and she drops 12, and we know that she needs to split that number up between 24 classmates, what would be your quick guess, your thoughtful estimate? You can pause the video to do that right now. All right, once you've done that, here's our secret emoji. You can write this at the top of your page by the date. It is a strawberry today because this problem is all about strawberries. So for B, we're going to try a different strategy to solve number 2. We know that we have to solve the exact amount here. 108 minus 12. Here you could have rounded this to 110. You could have rounded this to 10. What would be 100? You could have rounded this to 25. Okay. All right, but in B, we are actually going to solve the problem. So 108 minus 12 gives us, to make this into a 10, borrow from the 1, gives us 96. Okay, now our problem, if we set up our equation, it becomes 96 divided by 24. And we have to find the quotient. So we're going to try a strategy that you tried earlier this week, and we are going to focus on skip counting. So we know that we need to start our number line at 0. So I'm going to draw our number line here. And we've got to start at 0. When we're using the skip counting strategy, there we go. We are skip counting by the divisor, by the smaller number. And we need to see how many jumps it's going to take before we land on 96. So if we skip count by 24, there's our first jump. We land at 24. How many jumps is it going to take before we get to 96? Well, to figure out our second jump, we just add another 24. 24 plus 24 gives us 48. So that's what we land on our second jump. 48 plus another 24 we'll get 72. And if we add another 24 to 72, we land on 96. So we made 4 total jumps, which is the answer to our equation. So when Katina had 96 strawberries and she split them up equally to 24 of her classmates, each of her classmates got 4 strawberries. All right, make sure you've got the secret emoji and you've shown all your work. Then you are going to submit a picture of this page to Schoology. Nice work today, 4th grade.